All right, so we're wrapping up work in the Glade. The Glade was our cozy little lush corner of the park, and honestly, it's looking pretty awesome. But before we move on to the pier here, we're going to try to really think about what would be great in this area. The pier is this kind of tropical area, so we need to get into the mind of a guest and kind of pick away at what they're thinking. So what is she thinking? What is she thinking? Oh, yes, she's thinking coaster. That's exactly what she's thinking. So I think that would be the ideal ride to build a nice, maybe kind of coaster, a compact coaster. And this plot of land over here is perfect for it. This plot of land has a great view. It's right here by the merry-go-round. It's right on the corner. And what better than a suspended coaster? So, yeah, we're going to dive into this build. Today's project is called Wild Thing. It's a compact suspended coaster designed to weave through tight spaces, but still pack a punch. I'm going to go for a ride that's quick and intense and a little bit chaotic. You know, the kind of ride that leaves you saying, what just happened? You get off the ride and you get down the exit ramp, the gangplank, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, you're kind of holding on to the handrail and your legs are a little bit shaky and you're laughing and talking loud with your friends because you're excited. And you're all amped up from your adrenaline going way up and you really enjoy yourself. And I really wanted this ride to kind of go in the figure 8 style that I often have when I do my coasters. And I had a little bit of trouble with one of my reference images. It screwed up the video recording, so you're going to see like a cut over here from that. But I promise I wasn't cutting anything out from the build. It was just cutting out dead footage. And then I always prefer to go with this figure 8 style when I build these things. And so this time you're going to swoop out into the right and it'll eat up a little bit of that space after the second drop, this general area over here. But it also gives us this really cool visual when you're coming down the pathway of that coaster kind of swooping out over the roof of the station. And I think that that's, you know, I think that that's a good idea. I think that that's a good place to start. Now the station, all that, nothing too fancy yet. You know, we're just getting a basic track layout. We're getting a basic track shape and we're getting all the bumps right with it. And that's generally my coaster process. Get it into the land, make sure the sight lines look good with everything. Then work on some of the smoothing, work on some of the logistics. I do ride the coaster multiple times, but I cut that out of the footage. It makes for bad footage. It also ruins the POV at the end, which if you're a big fan of POVs, stick around. I will not make that mistake again like I did with the mine train coaster. You will get to ride this one. I've made sure that was a commitment. A cool little channel update, I guess you want to say. Funland here is going to come to an end. We're getting to the point where I'm going to do the final tour of the park. And actually right now, as of this recording, the community is busy. They have access to the park and they are adding things. So I can already tell you there's stuff a little bit further out than this on this side of the park. And Marvy G is working on a whole thing himself. Comet, I know, worked on something. It's really cool. It's such a wonderful thing to have community members who are willing to jump in and contribute to the parks that you guys love on the channel. And if you want to be part of that, join us. Join us over on Discord. The link is always in the description of the videos. I always put it down there. And come over and join us and just speak up and say, I'd love to build something. And I'll give you the file to throw something in. I've had parks in the past where Ginge came and did some really cool realism stuff. And I've had a lot of people come into the parks and just kind of add things. And it's been so fun. And, you know, it will be a dream someday I get some of the bigger guys, you guys know who you are, to come over in the park and maybe add some things. But, yeah. That's a goal for down the road. But I'm all about community. So, and even if you comment below, if you see a ride or something in the park here that you want to see added, just comment below with a timestamp and say, hey, you know, a banana stand would look good here. Hey, a balloon shop would look good here. Hey, you should put a couple more rocks here. And I will gladly go into that park and do it if it makes sense to me. Honestly, though, I think I spent way more time tweaking this ending scene here of the ride. Way too much. What I wanted was kind of a swing. So you were going through there and you swing hard to the left and you pivot and you swing hard to the right and you go into the final bank. And then I did some custom supporting. So this is the second time on the record that I have left it in. And I'm going to spoil it for you now. It doesn't stay, because as soon as I move that pathway to get it out of the way, the supports appeared, of course. And I wasn't thinking about it. And funny enough, there was the exact moment I learned how the path rounding tool actually works. But anyway, right here, I just go ahead and get rid of the custom supports, because you're never going to make a support as good as what the game made it. It's not going to look the same. So you either remove them all and build your own, or just have them in the game, or try very hard to match them. And there's some people that are much better than that than others. And honestly, I want to eat my own eyelids every time I think about having to completely custom support a ride. So if you'd like to do that for me, I'd be so grateful. I'd promote whatever you wanted. I'll give you a shout out. I'd do whatever you want as you know, in thanks for doing something like that for me. But hey, just, you know, holler. You know what I mean? Just give me a message. Let me know you want to do it, because I can't stand it. But yeah, this is a really cool ride. This is a ride that fits into the space perfectly. And honestly, it's leaving a lot of gaps on the right-hand side. But there is a train station that has gone in. There's actually a railroad now through the park that goes around the whole thing. I told you there's tons of surprises for the finale episode. There's even a giant pool. If you can believe it, there's a giant pool. And I believe you might see a very little bit of it here in the end of this video, but so now we're kind of getting to this halfway point in the build. So I do this really cool cinematic where I show off the ride, you know, pat myself on the back, say good job for such a cool ride. Yeah, but what I'm doing here is it's a little bit of coaster voyeuring. You know, I'm peeking through the bushes at the coaster to see how this coaster lays with the surrounding area, to see how this coaster plays with the skylines, and where all the little defects and deformities are in the ride. And I've probably ridden this about 9 or 10 times at this point. Now that circle bubble is just my way of telling you I sped the footage up to 3x. I don't like to put it on the screen that I did it, but I at least like you know, when it's going faster, even though you can pretty much tell from the speed of the coaster. But yeah, as this thing zooms around here, I wanted this section here to kind of swoop more than it was. I wanted you to come down that big hill, sling around, and kind of swoop up and over. This is kind of a big swoop, and then the other part is another swoop in the opposite direction. You have to understand, if you've ever ridden a suspended coaster, and I have not, but I've ridden enough coasters in the limited few that I've actually managed to get on in my life, then you know as well as I do, the force that's on your body in a coaster as simple as this is a lot. You're going to be very dizzy. It's going to swing and pull and do all kinds of interesting G-forces on you. Here I am working on the interaction of the near misses. So I'm working on the areas where the cart could clip through objects in the world. And I'm doing that so that whenever there's the POV, and whenever you're looking at the ride, it has as much of a natural look as possible, because real physics, right? And I also thought the ride lacked a little bit of speed. So I did this crazy thing where I built this whole section up top, because, you know, the coaster would kind of travel away from the lift hill, go out into this tree area, and kind of play with the landscape, and then it just sort of stops there. So, as you can tell, that area is not happening. I started to work at it, and right away it just wants to shrink it down. It wants to shrink that circle down, so I allowed it, which I think lended itself to a better ride. I give you a little bit of breathing room here, not much, to sneak that hill down through that curve, because when it comes around the other side, it would bang into the underside of the lift hill, probably killing everybody on board. And you can't have that. Liability insurance is expensive for a park, I'm sure. You just can't have that. This coaster really makes this park just pop. This coaster sets the tone in this whole area. And I know this is a pretty coaster heavy park, but I was going for this 90s retro vibe with this park. It's kind of built up over time. It wanted to be like one of those resort parks, like they'll, you know, I think every TV show and movie franchise had a resort park concept or something attached to it. And, you know, there was lots of character licensing and stuff like that. It's just, that's about what this would be. It'd be like if a Six Flags lost all of its character licensing. So you'd have all these epic rides, but they'd be so basic. But yeah, this park, if you followed the series for a while, this park has a dual personality. One side of it's like a tropical resort. The other side of it's like an alpine, place. So it's called the Glade on one side and the pier on the other. And honestly, if you haven't followed the series, it's a playlist. Just go to the description, click the playlist, binge all the episodes because it's coming to an end soon. The very next episode will be the community episode. So that's going to be the episode where I tour the full park, do a complete walkthrough, a full talk of all the rides. That's why it's taking a little bit of time. I made sure I took about a couple days in between uploads here so I can get this coaster build uploaded, and then I can do the final video. And I think at that point it'll be time to, let the dead horse rest where it's at. Zombie horse would be good. But yeah, so here it is. It's the coaster is complete. It's a wonderful coaster. It's got just enough adrenaline to make it a must ride for you when you're visiting the park. And it's one of those rides that it just has the chef's kiss. So the moment you've been waiting for, and you know who you are, the POV of the ride. Enjoy.
I say you can take it day by day. Listen to the words I say. I know it's a bad day, catching every teardrop. Try to tame a hurricane. Wish you did.
So there you have it. Wild Thing, it's officially open for business. I think it's a great addition to the pier, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think you like it? Do you like the layout? Do you like the coaster in general? Is it a good fit? Or do you have some other different idea in your head? And if you missed it, be sure to check out the last video where we built Jukebox Twist. It should pop up on your screen any minute. I'm very bad with those types of things. That's over in the Glade. The ride is a completely different vibe than this one. It's really cool, and I think you're going to love seeing how it ties into the park. But this ride just impresses me. So you have a great day.